Hello, and welcome to Indian Summer Festival. Or if you're joining us again, welcome back. We'll be taking you to many places tonight, and I'm sure you're listening in from many places. But I just wanted to acknowledge that I'm located in a city currently called Vancouver, which is the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations, the first people of this land. We've worked very hard to reinvent ourselves as a festival and do virtual events that introduce you to some outstanding artists who are responding to this strange and difficult time during this global pandemic. And last week, we presented a conversation between two giants of the environmental movement, Vandana Shiva and David Suzuki. And we had 5,000 people watching live from 18 countries. And by the next morning, another 10,000 had watched it. And that's so encouraging to us that we can still gather in this way. And, although this event is free to attend, some of you were able to donate to our organization or pay the price of what a ticket would have been, or some of you might do that later. And we really appreciate that we're able to put on events like this thanks to your support, and we're very touched by that. I'm also really thankful to a few organizations who've stuck by us in this tough time and kept supporting us as they have for many years. Our festival on the whole is made possible thanks to our founding partners, Simon Fraser University. This is our 10th year together, our 10th anniversary in many ways. And our major partners, the University of British Columbia and Langara College, and our emerging artist partner, RBC. And this particular event is presented by SFU Library, who've over the years helped us bring some incredible writers to Vancouver. And if a library is a gathering place of great minds, then thank you for helping us do that again tonight. And my thanks to Hari Sharma Foundation, who are an umbrella to many. And now, I'd like to introduce my co-host, the poet, arts educator, and community organizer, and my friend, Anjalica Solomon.
Hello. How's it going, Sirish?
It's going well. It's good to have you here, as well as can be.
What a time to be alive.
Yep. What to say? But nice to be here with you and to everyone who's here with us. And
Indeed.
We have poetry and some great poets to give us medicine now.
We do. We have poetry, which is, of course, healing work and good medicine to us all. God knows that we need it right now. Yeah.
Yeah, and poetry is that's what is the life you live, no? It's everything.
I'm a poet here, yes, and poetry is my community. It holds my life together. And it's really an honor to be here tonight, and a huge thank you to everyone who's given their time, their words, and their offerings. It really is, as my partner, poet Brandon Wint, would say, poetry is like the campfire, and so it will never die, because it's really the place that we all come together to be in these dark times and share our stories, dance around the fire.
Yeah, I love that. Poetry is the campfire. It's what keeps us together. And it's funny because poetry and the reason we put this event together is also poetry it's always been the historian and the storyteller for centuries. Some of our epics, that are central to so many cultures are poems. The longest poem ever written is, of course, the great Hindu epic, the Mahabharata, which comes in at 1.8 million words or something staggering like that. And yeah, these are like huge cultural projects. The Persian poet Ferdowsi started his lifelong poem, the Shahnameh, in 977 AD. And he did that work for 33 years. And of course, like so much of European literature grows out of Homer, out of Iliad and the Odyssey, and then it remains with us for life. Or poems in the Zen tradition that are like philosophical queries or little spiritual teachings. It comes in so many forms,
yeah, we have to keep our stories alive.
And I think, both Anjalica and I were saying that the poets tonight are literary healers in this crazy time where the virus seems to be only one of our problems. We asked them what poems they would like to offer us, and so what they prescribe is sometimes sweet tonic, sometimes balm, and sometimes bitter medicine. And I just wanted to say that when you're with us this evening, give yourself time. Just imagine that you're sitting by a river of language, get a blanket, something to eat, and do what you couldn't do if this was real life. If you need to digest a poem for a minute, press pause. Don't worry, you'll catch up with us. If you need to go back and hear a line, do it. We'll still be here. And really, to start us on our journey across the planet tonight is the amazing Miss Christie Lee, powerhouse storyteller, hip hop artist, poet from the Musqueam Nation, and the current poet laureate of Vancouver. Let's go to Miss Christie Lee.
Ita puwalia na siyam na siyaya, anta chachlia tilitin atla chumasquim. Tan a ten that alamat with an amen as to somkin siyam. Heichka. Tan a mamana, that's no smart and tan a mamana. Tan a whale eaten amitstum a mali. Haitipka slansialako as. Haitipka than shwalakwa. Haitipka te chumkom slanslani. Haitipka a chwelmoch stamech. Haitipka a spoutless. Haitipka a manama. Haitipka a skeg. Zetano smarten chumasquim slani. Haitipka te tamas. Haichka a statlo. Ni haitanashquas konita makan. Greetings, my honored and respected friends. My name is Miss Christie Lee. My ancestral name is Chachlia, and I come from this beautiful place called Mali. This is only one of the many villages that are spread across the territory of this place we now know as the city of Vancouver. But our Musqueam people have been living on this land since time immemorial, for over 10,000 years. Through the findings of archaeological evidence, oral histories, and the dialect that we share with our Coast Salish families, Hunkaminam, we speak the downriver dialect. And this is it. This is the mouth, the north arm of the Statlo, of the river. This is where we get fish, crab, shellfish. Earlier there was a little seal that was in the water greeting me when I first came. This is the place of my ancestors. This is where all the stories and the songs and the teachings come from. I'm so proud to come from this place that my ancestors took care of for not just me, but for my children, my children's children, and all the next generations that have yet to come. Our Musqueam people, along with many Huelmoch families, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, all across the lands, we've been affected by pandemics before, especially over this way. Back there is the village of Sesnam, once home to over 35,000 Musqueams, again through oral history and archaeological evidence, and stories told to me by my ancestors. Our people were wiped out at Sesnam through a pandemic, but we survived. We lived off the land. We came together as Huelmoch Masteoch, as people of the land, and we shared our bounties. We shared our food. We shared our gatherings. We shared everything. And that kept us strong so we can be here in this time today in 2020. But again, in 2020, we're facing another pandemic. But again, it's brought all of our people together. It's been so beautiful to witness the sharing of wealth between families here in Musqueam. Excuse me, I'm getting a little bit choked up because my people mean so much to me. It's been so beautiful to see people drop off food packages and get out and sing songs, and every day at 7 o'clock, everybody's banging their drums. It's such a beautiful thing. I'm so honored to be a part of this community, and that my children get to live up here, and that we get to live in this beautiful place that we get to pass on to the next generation. I want to give a big shout out to the Indian Summer Festival, who's always come to the Musqueam people, to the people of the land, to share and to follow the protocol of our people. So thank you for always remembering who we are, because we are Indigenous brothers and sisters from this beautiful planet. So thank you so much, Indian Summer Festival. The poem I'm going to share with you today is a poem that was written by my father. We have many stories that we pass down from generation to generation, but as time goes on, we need new stories because we live in new times. So this story was written by my father, the late Henry Charles, to pass down to the next generation. The sun rose by the mouth of the river. On a bright sunny day, a little Huelmo girl named Kimora, she saw her brother paddling along the river, paddling in his canoe. He was there to spear the salmon. He saw his salmon swimming underneath his canoe, so he threw his spear into the water and caught some salmon. Kimora sang a beautiful song. Way-ah-hey, way-ah-hey. Alistair speared a big, huge salmon, and it fed our families. Kimora and Sophia sang and danced as their brother brought the salmon up to the shore. The mother cleaned the fish and called for the children. We're going to have a little feast. We're going to share the salmon. So Kimora, Sophia, and her mother came together and they made bread and they cooked up some wild rice and they steamed up some greens from the forest. While all this was happening, some more people from the village came by. They arrived with drums and sticks and paddles and more food. Together they circled up and they started singing and they started playing stick games. Kimora sang a beautiful song as her brother played, and Sophia drummed along. Her brother was asked to play in the stick games and they sang, way-ah-hey, way-ah-hey. Kimora and the people feasted. Sophia feasted, Alistair so feasted, and the great salmon fed all the people. The sun set and the stick games went on all through the night. This is a beautiful story that will be passed on to my children and to their children and to the next children in this beautiful community, to talk about how we as a community come together and share our bounties. Natsamat Tushkwalawinst. We are of one heart and one mind. Haitsepka.
Thank you, Ms. Christie Lee. It's an honor to start this river of language with Uncaminum.
Yes. Thank you so much, Ms. Christie Lee, and thank you for those reminders of whose land this is and where we are situated. I want to give a warm thank you and also a huge shout out to the Indigenous poets in my life who make a difference to my art and who teach me so much. My mentors and friends, Talaham, Biga, Michelis Tucci, and Mika Sage, who teach me lovingly about the work that is yet to be done to decolonize and to protect this land. And our next group of poets do the work of remembrance and radical care. Through poetry, we learn lessons passed down. We learn to listen to stories from beyond the grave. And through poetry, we consider how our ancestors have brought us to this very moment. And especially at a time where so many of us are experiencing that grief and that loss, it's important to remember and the following poets do ask us to remember. I would like to ask a question to our live audience, and we might be reading some of your answers when we return.
Yeah, in fact, it was funny, I got a message from Deborah Sparrow, the great Musqueam knowledge keeper, and we were saying, now I know what Christie was doing down by the river.
Yeah.
It's an honor to have Deborah Sparrow here with us tonight. Thank you for being with us.
Hello. Thank you. Yes, and to our live audience, please let us know, who do you feel called to remember in this moment? In the comment section, Facebook or YouTube. Who do you feel called to remember, and in what ways are you taking care of yourself and your communities? We want to know. Thank you. And first, we go to India to meet Jeet Dayal, coming to us from Bangalore.
We're about to hit the inconceivable number of 350,000 people dead in this global moment. I say inconceivable because it's difficult to think of 350,000 people dead over a period of 10 or 12 weeks, and think of it as a real number, a real figure. The only way to make it real, I think, is to think of one person, one dead, loved person, and to then magnify that number, to multiply it. That's how you make it real. Because each of those numbers was a living human with everything that goes to make humans alive. This is a poem called The Haunts, and it's dedicated to one dead person. As starlight, as ash or rain, as a smear on the moon, as a tree, a small tree, say a champakali, as a leaf or a man impersonating a leaf torn into shreds and fed to the wind, as the smell of a small dead animal, as a tremble on the stair, a mouse or air, a tear, a heave, as fear glimpsed from the window of a plane, as a telepathic ginger cat, a slit of moonlight that enters the locked house and leaves its stinking spore on each locked room, as a boat on the Moatapura River, about to leave its load of 2 children and a woman in the monsoon current. And if the river had taken them, how much pain would it have made? How much would it have saved? As my mother, trying to push the monstrous head out from between her legs. As the god that swaggers the top floor of my spirit, or the ghost that twists in the basement, or the slave that inhabits the middle. As the inconsolable soprano nearing the end of Ave Maria. As a cherry red Stratocaster Elite found in a pawn shop in Vancouver and bargained down to $800. As bad heroin in a deli alley, pink pill crushed up and sold in a twist of paper, snorted hungrily for no pleasure. As a woman, again and again, whose hair curls, whose mouth moves, whose eyes well like yours. As a figure by the side of the expressway, urging me to crash the car in a voice so calm and so wise, it took every shred of sanity not to give in. As good heroin in Zurich. As a bloated white face on the ceiling of a borrowed room, talking to me all night in words I am too high to understand. as a violin creeping through the trees in front of Humboldt University, and I understood music as the hunger that eats those it stokes, as the careful lizard that patrols my brain, as the dazzled bird who steals gems, junk, whatever comes to build. And what did I build but a house of dust? As the ritual between newlywed insects, as an insect, horned, shivering, convulsed, tiny Tyrannosaurus throws, as the white of my beard, whiteness beyond snow or stupor, as the abandoned child you were, who said goodbye to wind and water, stepped into the opposite of air, said no to earth blood, said stop to body blood, arrived as white shadow without features or desire, as a drop of sacrificial oil, made your atoms integrate, tumbling, dripping, under in your hurry to enter the kingdom of eternal life. As illness, as liver disease, and the river of red wine that cures it, as the black grape that made the wine, as disease, as a black burn on the leg that appears overnight and stays for years, as an unexplainable lump on the breast or the shoulder, as an inability to breathe, as the sound of someone choking, someone close crying softly in the night, as a dead girl with blood-red lips, blood-red eyes and cheeks, blood-red wrung neck, as crematorium smell of camphor and meat. As whatever you want, just come back. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aja Monet. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, and currently living in Little Haiti, Miami. So grateful to be here with you all and to share a poem for today. I wanted to just sort of set the tone by saying thank you to the Indian Summer Festival for bringing me out to Canada to participate in the festival. I believe it was 2 years ago. It was such a eye-opening experience. This is the first time that I'd ever been to that region of Canada, and to experience the range of culture and diversity and voices and art forms was so impactful for me. I think every opportunity we get to travel is something to never take for granted, as we can see the current moment we are in, where we are inhibited from traveling and being mobile. It's important to value those of us who can reach out across our screens and feel one another, tell our stories, and try to persevere in this moment in response to COVID-19. It's a strange and difficult time, but we have been through worse as people, and we will persevere. We will get through this. I wanted to share a poem that I wrote in the beginning of the pandemic, seeing as it's a moment where a lot of us are reconsidering and having to face our relationship to care, and not just our personal self-care, but also collective care. What does collective care look like? For those of us who live in the United States of America, we're still arguing that healthcare is a human right, which is a travesty as we see the ways that this virus is impacting all of our communities, but primarily poor and Black communities. We have to radicalize and transform our relationship to care and how we show up for ourselves and one another. And so this poem is a way of thinking through care and the importance of care. So here we go. It's a quarantine poem. What does it mean to be considered, looked after, thought of, tucked in, held, or wandered about, attended to, regarded as deserving of want or need, never alone in arms. Another belonging, a heart horizon wide, to friend. A ship with sails, harness the wind, lean and lay where a wound dreams, not a weapon or trigger to pull or peel pain. Is a rattlesnake whispering sweet nothings of forever, the end gazing back at you. Care is a voice with hands trembling courage, a hold letting go. Here is a sip of love, warm and unspeakable music. Opens a chest, clears a throat like herbal tea, homemade breath crossing lung to lung, sharing air like a kiss, soft cough drops soothing shame like the rhythm of uncontrollable laughter. When you are sick, it's the gentle gestures of grace, a song in the thick of grief, a lightened load of laundry falling heavy on a shoulder. Care is a room full of listening. Care is familiar and thankless. While people hoard their nothingness, lounging in despair, the earth cleanses itself of greed and cancer clinging to our bones. Uncertainty rocks us to sleep, mouthing words of prayerless tomorrows, clutching pearls of market-driven identity, work-filled and empty. Everyone's chasing shadows on a conference call or in an email, but care is knocking on your door like abuelita waiting online for food stamps. Care has mouths to feed, wastes no words, is deliberate, and knows tomorrow's not promised. The way the ground carries your feet is a care, or how the dishes don't wash themselves. Care is inconvenient and intentional, like poetry pouring out anyway. Thank you so much for listening, and I wish you all healing strength during this time.
In late May, in the year 2017, my Uncle Rob, he went in to visit his 98-year-old mom, my grandmother, Patricia, in the nursing home where she lived out her last few months, ever since her accident. And when he came into her little room, she asked him what day of the week it was. "It's a Saturday, Mum," he told her. She took a small breath and announced that this was going to be her last Saturday on this earth. "You don't know that, Mum," Rob said, but she gave him that look. She had this real withering look that she could lay on you. And it was kind of terrifying, and she remained capable of wielding that look for far longer than she physically should have been able to. And this look was usually paired with a frustrated blast of nose breath. Like that. She said, "Don't you tell me what I know. This is my last Saturday. I feel a new kind of tired coming over me. And there's a girl. She works here. Her name is Crystal. She only works weekends, but she's not here today because she's in Las Vegas with her sisters. One of them's getting married or something, so I'm not going to see her again. So I need you to come back next weekend, please, and tell her how much I enjoyed our little chats. And tell her that she should keep up with her studies. I mean, she's really good at her job, but she should stay in school. And I need you to do me one last thing." Rob nodded. She said, "I need you to go downtown and get me a few things I need, and if I know her." And I did. She counted those things off visually on her left hand, with the first slender finger of her right. She said, "I need 4 cards. I need 4 envelopes. I need 4 blank checks and my exact bank balance. Oh, and I need a pen." And she gave him that look again. "A good pen. So Rob, ever the dutiful son, he went downtown and he got everything, and he came back about an hour later. He pulled the little rolling table over, and she half sat up in her hospital bed. She carefully divided her remaining money into 4 exactly equal sums, and she wrote 4 checks, one for each of her 4 sons. She tucked each check into an envelope and told Rob to make sure that they all cashed them right away. She said, don't wait even one day, right away. Don't let the bank swallow even 1 penny of it up in their red tape. She was adamant about this. Then she opened up the first card and she wrote, Dear Robert, you were always my favorite son. Don't tell your brothers. And in the second card, she wrote, Dear Donald, you were always my favorite son, but don't tell your brothers. And then, Dear Fred, you were always my favorite son, but don't tell your brothers. And so on. 4 times for all 4 boys. And I was in a hotel alone in Melbourne, Australia when I got the call. It was the middle of the night. It was my mom, and I knew from the sound of her breathing before she even said a word. I'm so sorry to wake you, she said. She had a stroke on Sunday morning, and she never really woke up again. And she went in the night, late Monday. We didn't call you because we knew you wouldn't make it home anyway, and you two had such a good visit back in February, that last time. But your Uncle Rob, he really wanted me to be sure to tell you that she was herself, right up until the very end.
My name is Shalene Knight, and I am the author of Braided Skin and Dear Current Occupant. This one's a memoir, and this one's a book of poetry. I'm so excited to have been asked to read for the Indian Summer Festival and to have been a past participant. It's been a great privilege. So I would just love to share 2 poems from my book, Braided Skin, with you today. And I'm in my kind of I want to call it my quarantine alcove. I've been sort of tucked away in this little storage room that I converted to my reading / workroom, and behind me I have some posters just from the past events and festivals that I've been a part of. So that's kind of my inspiration too for this reading, to create that sense of home for myself. So I'd love to read 2 poems, and the first one that I'm going to read is called Uganda, 1972. A once promising land evaporating, the people abolished, divided, and shaken by the expulsion, the elimination. That threat of an ethnic cleansing of the Indian minority hovered over Asian carpenters, mechanics, shoemakers, and tailors. The middlemen flail in the political winds. Minority eyes must speak. Identify yourself, break through for Uganda. Kampala, tombs of kabakas have woven thatched roofs that swoop to a high point above the straw-laden floors, lending a cathedral-like silence to the sacredness of the earth below, where royal attendants continually watched over the remains of their dead kings. Kampala, the arched and pillared windows were endless. Nestled behind sundown rests an Indian dialect of silks and cottons, their eyes lettered names like Patel, Desai, and Bombay Emporium. The ashes of Uganda walked many miles and carried their heads. The walk was tedious work. It took years. Now it's an image left behind. Why should we wait in line for justice? Help us begin to drink the pain of Uganda and one day replant our roots. The mountains appear at sunset and the hillsides of women flow in the breeze. The men bring comfort, but their eyes tell stories of death in their minds, their birth. Precious jewels in a hairdo or turban confiscated, but still hear tales of escape. They look back on the homes they built. They look back on the tiny store their grandfather established, alone in their difficult hours, uprooted. And I'll read one more poem, and this one is called In the Green Room. Eyes on me, long stare up and down, longer stare, stuck in this frustrating and degrading conversation, you who won't be happy with the answer I give because your perception of blackness is completely distorted. Assumptions come to the table already orally armed, defend my skin tone, hair color, hair length, and hair texture. Isn't this one of the most multicultural, mixed, biracial baby breeding cities in the world? And no, you cannot touch my hair, tangled, caught between nails of acrylic tips, rows of fishtails intertwine. A maintained fusion, cut dead ends, then weave these tracks back like braids and plates. She oils and slicks sides, pats down, then poofs up. Make up your mind. One drop rule bleeds into the blue-eyed illusion of good hair, stressed to overprocess these tips, these roots, these plaits, these locks. She dreads. Enter, stage left, and find the mic. Sing sweet. These brown skin confessions, brown skin, black skin, caramel dipped skin, leathery sunburnt skin seizes to remember skin like the war, torn, country, skin. She breathes skin. Found 14 feathers in a notebook imprinted on creased pages, faded covered, led to an ellipsis, watched eyes burn holes through layers of skin, yet never happy with these answers of ethnicity. Let's gather confessions of ebony-boned princesses. Let's steal stories of brown-skinned contessas and drown memories of her one tone. Let me pick a side. Skin. Thank you very much. I look forward to listening to all of the other readings, and I am grateful to have been a part of it. Thank you all so much.
Hi, Jillian Christmas here. I just want to say how wonderful it is to be performing with these incredible artists from my little apartment in East Vancouver on the unceded territories of the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish people. It's an honor to be here with Indian Summer Festival. You know, we've worked together for years in the past, and it's always an honor to participate in your programming. Thank you for having me. And here is a small poem, and it goes like this. Mama remembers herself, a little girl, turned away from a birthday pool party. Mama remembers herself, a little girl, turned away. Before we fly from Trinidad to the small island, we drive up the hill to stay in the big hotel. Now newly renovated, it has stood on this same perch for the better part of a century. Mama remembers herself, a little girl, turned away from a birthday pool party because this big North American hotel didn't yet let brown girls bathe themselves in full sunlight. Somehow scared the world would be hypnotized by the shine. Probably even Mama didn't know. She was a diamond in a pool of glass, the way they treated her. When we reached the hotel, nearly 50 years later, standing new and shiny in the same cursed spot, I learned that the pool is the last piece of the renovations. It will not reopen until after we leave. Today, I saw a small blonde-haired girl drift back and forth. Impossibly buoyant child, carried upward atop a weightlessness so deep and vast that she could not touch her feet to the bottom of it. The big blue stretched out around her, a clean white tile framing the scene in its perimeter. Mama was a little girl once. Once I was too. Probably always will be someplace. After hours of travel, I pulled the tiny computer from my pocket, each blue image pouring from its screen, every one erupting new color. Some unknown and yet beloved brown face smiling after another. A newsreel of necessary medicine. Dancing dark girl pops her shoulder in my direction. Mean mugs until the camera looks away. Dancing dark boy and his father blow each other kisses with a tenderness that quenches my dreams. The remedy is loving each other harder. Loving these brown bodies more than water and deeper still. Mama remembers herself. Mama remembers herself. Mama remembers. Thank you so much.
Hello, we're back. Thank you so much, Jillian Christmas. I love you. And thank you to all the poets who shared, Jeet, Aja, Ivan, Shaleen. We appreciate you. I especially appreciate Jillian because she is a pillar of my community, the poetry community here in Vancouver, a friend who has my back and holds things together. And you can find her book out now. It's called The Gospel of Breaking, and it's so good. Highly recommended read. Yeah. And a special thanks to the poets who are bringing us a lot of comfort right now with their words, especially poets from our Black communities, communities who are disproportionately discriminated against. We are witnesses to the violence, to the brutality caused by the police, and we see the injustice, and we stand in solidarity with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really, when I have to say, when we reached out to all of these poets and they sent their work to us in advance, so we are live, but they are not. So I just want to acknowledge that also, Anjalica, at this moment, and obviously, what the work really speaks to that at this time. And one of the things that I heard when you speak of solidarity, there's this Indian restaurant in Minneapolis called Gandhi Mahal that burned down in the protests. And the owner, Hafsa Islam, and her family, they're from Bangladesh, and they said, it's okay, let it burn. Justice needs to be served. And, and they said that, this won't stop us from healing our community and supporting our community. And the fiery drive to help and protect and stand will never die. So I think it's very important, like at this time, I think with the poets that we have and the work that we do, and us as a community and a lot of our audiences in the South Asian community, to know that we need to stand together and we need to watch our own racism and prejudices and
Yes.
and be there. So I think that's I thank the poets really for speaking that in a stronger way. And it's been so nice to get some of the comments that are coming in as to what it's doing for some of our viewers. Pawan says, I feel called to remember my Manji, my dad's grandma, who I met only once as a child in her village home, but her presence, her smile, her love, I'll carry always. And Luis says, today I remember my spiritual teacher and great poet, Sant Darshan Singh Maharaj. Thank you for your transcendent words that soothe my broken heart. And it's also so nice to see some of the other poets listening in. Shalene Knight reacts to Aja Monet saying, care is a room full of listening.
Yeah.
So it's, thank you all for being here with us. And we now move to a different emotion. One of the most long-standing pillars of poetry is longing and love. There are so many poems that are built on that chasm between yourself and the loved one, whether that's a romantic love or the love of the divine. And there's also one of the poets that you'll meet here asks, what does an atheist do? What kind of, you have divine love, but what's an atheist love like? You'll hear different languages too. You'll hear Urdu and Punjabi and translations along with that. We start with Urdu. We start with Shabana Azmi reading from her father, Kefi Azmi's poetry on his 101st anniversary. No language does love in quite the way that Urdu does, really goes for it. And Shabana Azmi, to people who know, yes, they know. I need say no more. To those who don't, she is a legendary actor and in Indian cinema, and the easiest equivalent is Meryl Streep, I guess.
I would just say like brace for goddess vibes.
Yeah. So we're going to go to Mumbai, India, and India is in a state of lockdown now. And thank you, Shabana ji, for sharing all the way from India.
Most people know my father, Kefi Azmi, as a revolutionary poet, which he certainly was. He wrote about women's empowerment. He wrote about the plight of the construction worker. He wrote against communalism. All of that was a very strong part of his poetry, but he was also a very romantic poet. And that is a lesser known part of his personality. So today I will recite to you some of his romantic poems. One of them that I'm about to read, Ek Lamha, is a favorite of mine because it was a sight I saw every day. Every day in the morning, my mother would wear a fresh cotton sari and she would pick these beautiful har singar ka flowers, put them in a little wicker basket, and the two of them would sit together and have their tea, which was a huge ceremony. And it is from one such moment that Kefi has written this poem, Ek Lamha. जिंदगी नाम है कुछ लम्हों का और उनमें भी वही एक लम्हा जिसमें दो बोलती आंखें चाय की प्याली से जब उठें तो दिल में डूबे डूब के दिल में कहें आज तुम कुछ न कहो आज मैं कुछ न कहूँ बस यूं ही बैठे रहो हाथ में हाथ लिए गम की सौगात लिए गर्मी जज्बात लिए कौन जाने कि इसी लम्हे में दूर पर्वत पे कहीं बर्फ पिघलने ही लगे. And now it's English translation by Pavan Kumar Verma. A moment in time. Life is the name given to a few moments, and in but one of those fleeting moments, two eyes meet eloquently, looking up from a cup of tea, and enter the heart piercingly, and say, "Today do not speak. I'll be silent too. let's just sit thus, holding each other's hand, united by this gift of sorrow, bonded by the stirring of emotions. Who knows if in this very moment, somewhere in the distant mountain, the snow at last may start to thaw. Okay, now there is another poem of his which actually was used in a film, Haqiqat, by Chetan Anand, and sung very beautifully by Mohammed Rafi, and the music was by Madan Mohan. It was very beautifully picturized, and I'd like to recite that to you. पशेमानी। मैं ये सोचकर उसके दर से उठा था कि वो रोक लेगी, मना लेगी मुझको। हवाओं में लहराता आता था दामन कि दामन पकड़कर बिठा लेगी मुझको। कदम ऐसे अंदाज से उठ रहे थे कि आवाज़ देकर बुला लेगी मुझको। मगर उसने रोका, न मुझको मनाया, न दामन ही पकड़ा, न मुझको बिठाया, न आवाज़ ही दी, न वापस बुलाया। मैं आहिस्ता आहिस्ता बढ़ता ही आया, यहाँ तक कि उससे जुदा हो गया मैं, जुदा हो गया मैं, जुदा हो गया मैं। This again has been translated by Pavan Verma. Sense of regret. When from her doorway I stood up to go, I thought she would cajole me and make me stay. The wind billowed my garment towards her. I thought she would seize it and request me to stay. My footsteps moved away so reluctantly from her. I thought she would call out and ask me to stay. Truth is, she did not stop me, nor sought to cajole me. She caught not my garment, nor tried to delay me. She broke not her silence, nor moved to address me. I kept walking slowly on. Ever so slowly, I kept walking away so far that we are separated today. For the uninitiated, let me try to explain the difference between a ghazal and a nazm. A nazm is one thought, it's a poem, but a ghazal can be disparate thoughts strung together, only taking care of the rhyme and the meter. I think it's peculiar to Urdu poetry. So this happens to be one of Sirish Rao's favorite ghazals, and since it's for his festival, I'm reciting it. मैं ढूंढता हूँ जिसे वो जहाँ नहीं मिलता, नई ज़मीन नया आसमां नहीं मिलता, नई ज़मीन नया आसमां भी मिल जाए, नए बशर का कहीं कुछ निशान नहीं मिलता। वो तेग मिल गई जिससे हुआ है कत्ल मेरा, वो तेग मिल गई जिससे हुआ है कत्ल मेरा, किसी के हाथ का उस पर निशान नहीं मिलता। वो मेरा गांव है, वो मेरे गांव के चूल्हे, वो मेरा गांव है, वो मेरे गांव के चूल्हे, कि जिनमें शोले तो शोले, धुआं नहीं मिलता। जो एक खुदा नहीं मिलता तो इतना मातम क्या, जो एक खुदा नहीं मिलता तो इतना मातम क्या, मुझे खुद अपने कदम का निशान नहीं मिलता। खड़ा हूँ कब से मैं चेहरों के एक जंगल में, खड़ा हूँ कब से मैं चेहरों के एक जंगल में, तुम्हारे चेहरे का कुछ भी यहाँ नहीं मिलता। मैं ढूंढता हूँ जिसे वो जहाँ नहीं मिलता, नई ज़मीन नया आसमां नहीं मिलता. And now it's English translation by Pavan Kumar Verma. The world I seek, I cannot find. A new earth, a new sky, I cannot find. A new earth, a new sky, even if I found, no trace of a new man can I find. I have found the dagger that was used to slay me. No one's fingerprints on it can I find. That is my village, those my village hearts. That is my village, those my village hearts, let alone the embers. Smoke I cannot find. It is no great calamity if God cannot be found. It is no great calamity if God cannot be found. A trace of my own footprints I cannot find. For in eternity I have stood here among the crowd. For in eternity I have stood here among the crowd. Not a trace of your face can I find. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sadhu Binning, and I'm very happy to be part of Indian Summer Festival's 10th anniversary. I'm reading this poem in my study, surrounded with my books all around me, and my poem is called Nastik Hona. ਨਾਸਤਕ ਹੋਣਾ ਅਣਦਿਸਦੀਆਂ ਸ਼ਕਤੀਆਂ ਜਾਂ ਨਰਕਾਂ ਸਵਰਗਾਂ ਦੀ ਹੋਂਦ ਤੋਂ ਨਾਬਰ ਹੋਣਾ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ। ਗੱਲ ਇੱਥੋਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਖਤਮ ਨਹੀਂ। ਨਾਸਤਕ ਹੋਣਾ ਵੱਖਰੀ ਲੋਚ, ਜੁੱਗਾਂ ਜੁੱਗਾਂ ਦੀ ਨੀਂਦੋਂ ਜਾਗਣਾ, ਅੰਗੜਾਈ ਲੈਣਾ ਤੇ ਆਲੇ ਦੁਆਲੇ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਤਾਜ਼ੀ ਨਜ਼ਰੇ ਦੇਖਣਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਨਾਸਤਕ ਹੋਣਾ ਵੱਖਰੇ ਅੰਦਾਜ਼ ਵਿੱਚ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਨਾਲ ਇਸ਼ਕ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ, ਮੁਹੱਬਤ ਦੇ ਨਵੇਂ ਨਗਮੇ ਸਿਰਜਣਾ, ਖੁਦ ਫੁੱਲ ਬਣ ਕੇ ਫੁੱਲਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸੁੰਘਣਾ, ਮਹਿਕਾਂ ਖਿਲਾਰਨਾ। ਨਾਸਤਕ ਹੋਣਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਅਣਗਿਣਤ ਜੀਵਾਂ ਦਾ ਆਦਰ ਮਾਣ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ, ਜਾਨਵਰ ਤੋਂ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਤੱਕ ਦੇ ਸਫ਼ਰ 'ਚ ਅਰਬਾਂ ਖਰਬਾਂ ਵਰੇ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਪਾਇਆ ਜਾਣਾ। ਨਾਸਤਕ ਹੋਣਾ ਬੁੱਢੇ ਮਾਪਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਹੈਰਾਨੀ ਭਰੇ ਸਤਿਕਾਰ ਨਾਲ ਦੇਖਣਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਜੀਵਨ ਦੇ ਵਗਦੇ ਦਰਿਆ 'ਚ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਸੋਹਣਾ ਫਰਜ਼ ਨਿਭਾਇਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਬੂਤ ਹੋ ਜਿਸ ਦੇ। ਨਾਸਤਕ ਹੋਣਾ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਹਿੱਕ ਨਾਲ ਲਾ ਆਉਣ ਵਾਲੀਆਂ ਸਦੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਗਲਵਕੜੀ 'ਚ ਲੈਣਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਨਾਸਤਕ ਹੋਣਾ ਸਿਰਫ ਹੋਣਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਬੇਲੋੜੇ ਭਾਰਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਮੁਕਤ, ਸਹਿਜ ਨਾਲ ਜੀਣਾ। To be an atheist. To be an atheist is not simply the denial of imaginary powers or the existence of hell and heaven. It is the beginning of the story, not the end. To be an atheist is to wake up in a new dawn after the sleep of innumerable ages, stretching your body and to see your surroundings with a fresh eye. To be an atheist is to love life in transformed manner, to create new songs of affection, to be a flower, to smell the flowers, spreading the aroma. To be an atheist is to pay respect to countless organisms during the millions of years who played their role in our journey of becoming humans. To be an atheist is to see your old parents in an awed respect, how wonderfully they did their duty in the ever-flowing river of life, you being the proof of that. To be an atheist is to hold your child tightly close to your chest, embracing all of the future life. To be an atheist is simply to be, without any baggage, to live in tranquility. To be an atheist.
Hi everyone, I'm Shazia Hafiz Ramji, and I'm very happy to be a part of the Poetry for the Pandemic event as part of the Indian Summer Festival. And this is the 10th year of the festival, so it's a very special event. And I just want to say, massive shout out to Sirish Rao and the team for continuing to have the festival despite the situation we're in, and for constantly just giving me a sense of belonging since its inception, and for continuing to bring us together. Even a couple of weeks ago, I tuned into Mohammed Asani's concert Wayfinder, And, you know, I got to see my family because of it, and we shared some prawns and some chai, so it was really fantastic. Thank you so much, Indian Summer Festival, for all that you do. I'd like to share a poem with you today. It's called Astronaut Family, and it's for my friends who left Vancouver. It's from my book called Port of Being. This is a poem about people not being together and just wanting to make that happen and how we can make that happen. And so I figured, you know, even though there's still a housing crisis right now, it's still very relevant because we're not together, but we're doing our best to be. Okay, I'll just let it speak for itself. This is called Astronaut Family, and it's for my friends who left Vancouver. Growth and development sounds like something my mom used to worry about when I was little. Now I say it when applying for grants. Before that, one of my favorite dead people told me that it begins with language. Since then, I found lots of dead friends saying the same thing in different ways. It was once my mom's, then mine through the words of others, are now the words of the forthcoming Little Lemon on Hastings Street, Escala Luxury Homes in Burnaby. This is the quality of dust. It filters through us because we're made of it. The language, I mean. My friends know it too when they land in LA, Montreal, New York. No wonder we bought New Balance before parting ways, making excuses for the comfort worn by our grandparents. This is the quality of dust. It takes us dancing into houses and galleries until 6 in the morning. It keeps us here, this expensively repressed sympathy, in sneakers and secret locations that separate us. Like when I message you on Facebook and it's 3 in the morning, but 7 for you, but you gotta go because you're writing a condo ad for work, even in Brooklyn and Toronto. Even though it started here, where we began to love each other, and I think that we still do. Because we come back every summer and the smiles come increasingly quick. Which is not to say that we're eager to meet, or that this is a sudden light of friendship. But more than this, this is the construction of an act of love. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody.
My name is Shanice Jan Mohammed, and I'm honored and grateful to be a part of this event. I just want to thank the staff and volunteers of ISF for making this event possible and for reimagining this festival online. I can't imagine that it was easy, but you did it. I also want to thank the festival for inviting me back over the last 10 years to collaborate, perform, and create with fellow artists. It has truly been a pleasure and a gift. I thought I would read a poem called Breaking Bread, and this poem is about the moment that you reunite with a loved one after a long, difficult journey. And I felt that this poem was appropriate for this evening because many of us feel that we are separated from our loved ones, family, friends, community, and we're waiting for that moment when we could knock on the door, ring the doorbell, and be greeted with open arms, share a meal, and break bread together. So I hope this poem gives you a little bit of hope that when the time is safe and when we are ready, we will reunite. Breaking bread. I've been waiting for you. Sit with me a while. Dust off the dirt from your shoulders. Unburden yourself from the weight of your worries. Place the compass of your heart on the table. You won't need to know which direction it points to. You have arrived. Come, sit, break bread with me. Recollect the stones of your journey, and I'll show you where I've been. Look at my hands. These lines trace themselves back to nameless rivers, rivers schemed by dragonflies. Look at my face. These wrinkles curve themselves into forest paths, paths that vanish into fog. Sit down. Break bread with me. Pour the wine of wanderlust into my cup. Tonight is not a night to be sober. Let's toast to triumphs and troubles, to tomorrows that will never arrive, to this very table for being sturdy enough to support our stories. Cheers! Cheers to the rain-dampened dreams of your past. Cheers! Cheers to the sun-soaked laughter of your childhood. Cheers! Cheers to the golden gleam smiles of your lovers. Now, let go. Break the stone of your memory. Let the pieces scatter on the table and hold each one up to the light. Opaque, iridescent, tumbled or faceted, hand over your most precious one. I promise to protect it, preserve it, pocket it. I will turn it over and over in my hand until my fingers memorize it. Like bone, like blood, like breath. Like bone, like blood, like breath. Like bone, like blood, like.
Hi, I'm Biff Naked, and I am delighted to say congratulations to Indian Summer Festival, first and foremost, on 10 amazing years. I feel incredibly lucky to have been any part of your festival over the years. And like the last time I spoke, of course, we were in the beautiful Vogue Theatre at the time. I was so nervous, and I was very eager to make everyone proud to have me there. And now I am virtual. Well, we all are, I guess. And I'm at home. I'm currently in Toronto, and this is my apartment, and this is where I work, and where I've been working on 2 books and trying to finish a new record. It's been very interesting spring, I'm sure, for all of us during this pandemic. But I feel very deeply connected to everyone through, through Wi-Fi and through our online relationships, which I honestly believe have probably deepened for everyone. So it's very interesting times indeed. But I hope everyone who is listening to this or viewing this is in a place of safety and good health and in happiness. I'm going to read a couple poems to you. I have a book of poetry coming out. It's, well, a lot of it's kind of filthy, actually. You know, I am a rock and roller, so I tend to pepper my language in that way. But I have some selections that I'd like to share with you. I'm going to probably use my reading glasses because it just allows me to see the words better. Do you like them? Okay. Let's begin. I want to first, I want to read something that is called Normal. I sent Jesus home to his land of swimming pools and muscle cars, with ripe truffles and gulab jamun falling out of his mouth and my spit on his hip bone. Prayer for the broken girls in my weeping monotone as he strained to listen to my sung whispers. My heavy-lidded eyelash batting. I am the apple, not the snake. He reached for me and my red, shiny skin. I just shivered in the tree branches of this place. I wait for his hunger. Normal girl, holy man. Return to each other faithfully year after year, over years and lifetimes, forever and ever. Amen. The second poem I'd like to read for you is called French Roast. No, it isn't. Oh my gosh, I have so many papers. Okay, I found it. It was underneath the wrong paper. Here we go. This is my second poem for today. This is called French Roast. My English ain't the thing that's broken. My heart is. Like your promises, broken. It's a wish. It's a dish against my head, and my tears wash the plate over and over for nothing. My words are soapy. My tongue is cut out. Yet here I am, washing out your mouth, washing your words, so true but unkind. I wish you were different and better, and I wish I was different, better, braver, meaner, smarter. But I am not. I can't burn you, and you aren't what burns me. The hot, hot coffee in my mouth. Okay, and now I would like to read you another poem. This one is called Al Pacino. We wake up underneath the table with the corners of the tablecloth in our mouths. Love's hangover covering our fears, expelling shame, rationalizing the lies, the ties to very naughty people. Just like that, to our surprise, life has passed us by. I reel with shock and exist solely on dried figs. I want to be your woman, and you could be my jealous lover, passionate and burning like fire, just like my personal Al Pacino. Voila! Those are from me. Hanji, indeed. That is my poem 1, 2, and 3 for today. And again, thank you for asking me to be here with you and read. And I hope that everyone has an amazing summer ahead. And I predict eventually we will meet again when it is hugging season. Congratulations again, Indian Summer Festival. And be well, everybody.
Thank you, Biff. That was Biff Naked's first dedicated poetry reading. So yeah, amazing. Thank you for choosing to share with us here. And also, I'm glad we have a better word to describe the future. It's not post-pandemic, it's hugging season.
Hugging season. I love it. And thank you to our viewers who are also coming in with your comments. We have Gurleen K saying, Punjabi was refreshing to hear. And yes, indeed it was. That poem by Binning really touched me because it reminded me of my Dadaji. And yeah, we also have another comment coming in. Fred Bass, I think of a doctor in Wuhan who announced this pandemic and then renounced to die. And we have Pavan saying, Punjabi, my sweet mother tongue, thank you. Sadhu Binning for reminding me of its beauty. What a remarkable poem.
Well, I was also thinking of Shanice and Eid, of sharing a meal together.
Yes, come. When will it be that we can break bread together again? Yeah.
Well, we have, I guess, quite a different, well, two different worlds coming up, no? It's like the outer worlds and the inner worlds, the world of nature and the world that we are inside.
Yeah, and I find that being in quarantine really brings that up because there's so much aloneness and you go so deep within yourself in this containment. And then there's that pull, that call to nature to go swing on a tree, in my case, and to just be outside.
And we are nature too ourselves, of course, we always forget. But it's so nice to see more comments coming in. Renee Saklikar saying, yes, this is a masterclass and Urdu is the language of the poets. It's true.
Yes, thank you, Renee. Well, coming in, we have the theme of, as we said, nature, inner world, and containment. And we would like to present our first poet, Renee Saklikar.
Hey everyone, I'm Renee Sarajini Saklikar. I'm a poet and I teach creative writing at Simon Fraser University. From 2015 to 2018, I was the first poet laureate for the city of Surrey. And today I'm here doing poetry for our pandemic with a shout out to the Indian Summer Festival on their 10-year anniversary. Yay, what a great festival. I've had the great privilege of being part of it, and I look forward to many more years. Today, I'm going to read one of my poems from my current book, Listening to the Bees. I co-wrote it with one of the world's leading bee scientists, Dr. Mark Winston, and it's published by BC's own Nightwood Editions. So the poem I'm going to read is from a very personal part of the book. It's about my relationship to bees and my obsession with them, really, and how that came to happen. So here it is. It's called The Legend of the Bees. Oh, and I'm here in my living room with my beloved books, sitting cross-legged in my yoga pants, looking out over a really beautiful day as I more or less self-isolate. All right, so here's The Legend of the Bees. Lotus petals folded open, floating, that name forgotten, servant girl dancing, warmed copper pot, a drop of oil, swirled, poured, those shadow puppets papery thin, cut, stingless trigona. Bohemia tree, planted earthenware and enormous. Above, the bees, hind legs bundled with white pollen, baby. Red patiana sari wrapped, untied, ankles released, brown eyes ready to focus. That threshold long beams after flowers, hollowed. Dry stem above the trunk. Well, that's how they'd get in to nest. And then would fly out, circling above forehead untouched. Sweet emanations just beyond reach. Endless. Stay safe, everyone.
Hi, Indian Summer Fest. Happy birthday. I'm so happy to be part of your festival this year. I'm going to be reading from the beginning of a new novel that I have coming out in September with House of Anansi Press called Nopuming, The Cure for White Ladies. Once you move through cold, there is Pacific. Once you move through Pacific, there is Placid. Once you move through Placid, there is a condition of expanse. And it was in that condition of expanse that held me. I heard them singing above me. Mashkawaji fell through the ice to find quiet, to get out of the wind, to visit with Namegos. They all sang Mashkawaji stitches up the hole. They are so cold they can't move. They are frozen stiff. The lake is their blanket. They all sang Mashkawaji is frozen stiff, still, calm, No one knows if they're coming back. They all sang, Akawenze is fishing through the ice with a spear. They brought a line of beads. They will wait patiently. They will wait until Mashkawaje is done their visit. The singing and drumming came every night from a distance. Different choirs every evening at dusk, marking the passage of time, reminding me there is still love. You see, tragedy happened again. The details don't matter because the details are hopeless, overwhelmed, shut down. Know this, after 2 years, the best parts of me are still frozen in the lake. My limbic system, its best friend, the prefrontal cortex, and the hollow pumping organ in which I keep benevolence. The only one that regularly comes to visit is Akawenze. In the winter, they park their truck on the ice, drill a hole with the auger in the ice, and fish until the cold makes their bones crack. As soon as the ice is off the lake, Akawenze is back in their boat, with a torch and a sort of pitchfork for spearing pickerel. In the dead of summer, Akawenze sneaks back before first light in their canoe, before the cottagers and their jet skis are out. In the fall, they sprinkle tobacco around me and sing. My world is muted. I look out. If something upsets me, I just wait, and the upset passes. I sit beside. Sometimes I remember the other me, before I was frozen in the lake. I remember caring and engaging and the sharpness of unmuted feeling. I remember hopeless connection. I don't feel stuck, in part because I don't feel anything. Their song isn't wrong. The ice is like a warm, weighted blanket. My form dissolved when tragedy came, and if I am fluid, the ice is container. There are ashes in my eyes. I am so far inside myself, like Miss Wadesi on full fast inside time, cold inside their organs, inside their turtle shell, inside the sediments of the lake, while the ice world forms on top, oblivious to the outside, with body as lake. And there is solace in being cut off. And there is freedom enmeshed within that state. Know this, being frozen in the lake is another kind of life. Know this, it is unclear how long before I will be done with my visit. It is unclear how long visiting takes. Know this, visiting is more of a dance than an event. Akawenze is my will. Ninatic is my lungs. Minimoya is my conscience. Sabe is my marrow. Adik is my nervous system. Asin is my eyes and ears. Lucy is my brain. I believe everything these seven say because ice distorts perception and trust replaces critique, examination, and interrogation. I believe everything these seven say, even though. I believe everything these seven say, even though their truths are their own, not mine. I believe, in the absence of my own heart, I will accept the hearts of these seven. The geese fly overhead in the sheer grace of a carefully angled formation designed to take them elsewhere. There are still stars. There are still stars. Miigwech, Wewene, Gawabmin.
Before I read my poem, I must congratulate the Indian Summer Festival team for creating this wonderful poetry reading, a momentous event indeed, as it highlights the healing power of poetry in grim times like the present ones. I feel honored to be part of this event and thank the ISF for its continued effort to promote artistic expression. I and Ajmer Rode have published books of poetry, drama, and translation in Punjabi and English. I'm going to read Mustard Flowers, one of my poems on lonely souls. The poem was written years ago, but is as relevant in these days, filled with COVID-19 loneliness. Mustard flowers. If you see an old man sitting alone at this bus stop and wonder who he is, I can tell you. He's my father. He's not waiting for a bus or a friend, nor is he taking a brief rest before resuming his walk. He does not intend to shop in the nearby stores either. He's just sitting there on the bench. Occasionally he smiles and talks. No one listens. Nobody is interested. And he does not seem to care if someone listens or not. A stream of cars, buses, and people flows on the road. A river of images, metaphors, and similes flows through his head. When everything stops at the traffic lights, it's midnight back in his village. Morning starts when lights turn green. When someone honks, his neighbor's dog barks. And when a yellow car passes by, 1,000 mustard flowers bloom in his head. I'll read the Punjabi version of this poem now. It's called Saron de Full. ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਦੇ ਇਸ ਬੱਸ ਅੱਡੇ ਤੇ ਬੈਠਾ ਕਲਮ ਕੱਲਾ ਬਜ਼ੁਰਗ ਵੇਖੋ ਤਾਂ ਹੈਰਾਨ ਨਾ ਹੋਣਾ। ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਉਹ ਕੌਣ ਹੈ। ਉਹ ਮੇਰਾ ਬਾਪ ਹੈ। ਉਹ ਕਿਸੇ ਬੱਸ ਦੀ ਉਡੀਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ, ਨਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੋਸਤ ਮਿੱਤਰ ਦੀ, ਤੇ ਨਾ ਹੀ ਉਹ ਤੁਰਦਾ ਤੁਰਦਾ ਸਾਹ ਲੈਣ ਲਈ ਇੱਥੇ ਦੋ ਪਲ ਅਟਕਿਆ ਹੈ। ਉਹਦੀ ਆਸ-ਪਾਸ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੁਕਾਨ ਤੇ ਜਾਣ ਦੀ ਮਨਸ਼ਾ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ। ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਬਸ ਉਂਝ ਹੀ ਬੈਠਾ ਹੈ ਬੈਂਚ ਤੇ। ਕਦੇ ਕਦਾਈ ਐਵੇਂ ਮੁਸਕਰਾ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਹੈ, ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲ ਵੀ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਸੁਣਨ ਵਾਲਾ ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ। ਸੜਕ ਤੇ ਬੱਸਾਂ, ਕਾਰਾਂ, ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਨਦੀ ਵਹਿੰਦੀ ਹੈ। ਉਹਦੇ ਸਿਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਿੰਬਾਂ, ਰੂਪਕਾਂ, ਅਲੰਕਾਰਾਂ ਦਾ ਦਰਿਆ ਵਗਦਾ ਹੈ। ਜਦੋਂ ਬੱਤੀਆਂ ਲਾਲ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀਆਂ ਹਨ ਤੇ ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਖੜ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ, ਤਾਂ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਪਿੰਡ ਵਿੱਚ ਅੱਧੀ ਰਾਤ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਬੱਤੀਆਂ ਹਰੀਆਂ ਹੋ ਜਾਣ ਤਾਂ ਸਵੇਰ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਜਦੋਂ ਕੋਈ ਕਾਰ ਦਾ ਹਾਰਨ ਵਜਾਉਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਪਿੰਡ ਗੁਆਂਢੀਆਂ ਦਾ ਕੁੱਤਾ ਭੌਂਕ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ। ਤੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਕੋਈ ਪੀਲੀ ਕਾਰ ਲੰਘਦੀ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਸਿਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੱਖਾਂ ਹਜ਼ਾਰਾਂ ਸਰੋਂ ਦੇ ਫੁੱਲ ਖਿੜ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਨ। ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ। ਧੰਨਵਾਦ।
Hello everyone, my name is Tishani Doshi and I'm a writer and a dancer. Thank you to the Indian Summer Festival for inviting me to read a poem, mainly because it allows me to get out of my pajamas and to wear something festive. I want to read a poem to you called Mandala. This is a new poem. I wrote it in lockdown here in Abu Dhabi where I teach at NYU. And I think I've always been obsessed with the idea of the relationship between the micro and macro, more so now where every sense of border or boundary is being threatened. The poem also riffs off this, the picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. Sometimes this disconnect we have with our own selves, that idea of one version of us eternally young in the attic, and the other version sullying itself out in the world. So I guess trying to reconcile these different ideas, these different membranes and these different levels of seeing. So this is Mandala. Anyone who believes a leaf is just a leaf is missing the point. In the attic, there is a picture of ginkgo growing steadily yellow, while the body of ginkgo remains evergreen as he works his way through opium dens and bordellos. I'd like to tell you not to worry. Reality has a way of sorting itself out, but panic is infectious. The scare arrives when you're doing jumping jacks or organizing the cutlery. some moment of low cosmological drama interrupted by the discovery of a lump or the 9 o'clock news, and suddenly every door handle is a death sentence. How lonely it must have been for the first astronomers, freezing on their terraces, trying to catch the light of faraway moons through their spyglasses. Sometimes it's hard to know whether you're speeding up or slowing down. Time, that wobbly trampoline, confuses us. We stitch our days and nights one to the other, and it's like embroidering a galaxy, but even galaxies recede from one another. Once a woman played my body as though it were a harp. I slept on a wooden plank and she strummed the strings below until I became a whale shark pounding through the oceans aeons ago. I emerged as if out of a wormhole, which is to say, more or less intact. For days I felt fins where my cheeks should have been. We talk of bodies as though we could not understand the universe within them, even though we've all gaped at the stump of a tree and understood that time moves outwards in a circle, and while everything seems endless, there is always a ring of something permeable holding us in. Sometimes we leave the house without our masks, and it's a relief to take a break from who we are. Dwarf star, prayer bell, lone stag feeding in the gorse. Something will hold a mirror to our faces when really all we need is to be led upstairs.
Hi, hello. I'm here reading from Surrey, BC, my home. I'll read 3 poems for today. One is a reference to life in containment. The other 2 are poems of love and language. Stay safe out there, and I hope you take care. Dance, or dance. The light shuffle, tirikadin-da, tirikadin-da, da, da, da. Bring the wrist up to the moon, curve your hand around the scythe and begin. Dhage din 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 da, dhage din 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 da. Luminous silver caress, night swallows music fingers. Fingers on the skin, skin to bass, skin to treble, tip to da, din to tip, rapturous around your hip, slapping thals along your curves, playing das into your cheeks, sending songs onto your navel. Flourish a dadratal cycle around your waist, tender rivulets along the inner thighs, and land upon the shoreline where I dance to a different tune. This is called Subadar. It's in honor of the arrival of the Komagata Maru into the Burrard Inlet in late May in 1914. Subedar. Deep within my body, a yellow tongue licks the wall, the floor, the beds, and the cramped benches, and moves around the unloved who slumber each day. Deep within my body, a babe sniffles, drinking the nutrition out of her mother. Deep within my body, a young boy wonders of an ocean and scaling mountains. Deep within my body, a doctor coughs, seeing that his oath will mean nothing here, his educated fears seeking safety on all sides. Deep within my body, men become darkness itself, their smiles suffocate on barren stomachs. In the deep darkness where no one sleeps, fear and ignorance consume each other, and madness settles in to sleep and love. How Lingua and I met in conversation. Lingers, fragrance, lime on sleeve, licorice smile. Lingers, pears small in the crease of the palm. Peeling preambles, flickering words, pulsating amid a figured candle. Shadows swaying from hand to waist, arching upwards. Incisor crunching on soft sunlit peach flesh. The cool dew collecting in droplets from your lips, Perhaps the nautical mile, undulating, rippling, breaking out in crescendo. Will we always do this, the way we end sentences, how you capture my lips in your conclusion? The sun's sliver rolled between our fingers, touching, burning, searing, incinerating desire on a bevy of lilacs. To fill your alcove soul with a candle, these fingers' nibs, a lover's inscriptions inscribed in a curved flame on your back. The world will know you are my beloved, and I am the chasm of your muse. The flicker off the clear crystal shroud draping from your bosom lingers, lighting up your halo, my blue flame finger running up each soft disc, nudge into the soft spaces, a paper-thin nail, creasing your skin from within, stretched you disappear into a droplet fallen from a cerulean sky. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Meharuna Ghani. I am a South Asian woman. I have brown skin, shoulder length, black hair with wisps of gray. I'm wearing a turquoise blue top and I'm sitting on a chair and I have a rainbow colored scarf around my neck, and I'm also wearing a moonstone necklace, which is one of my favorite stones. I'm in a room that has lavender walls. I have a bookshelf behind me with a series of poetry books, books from Rumi, Hafiz, a shelf full of journals, of diaries of my own, and my own published poetry books. I also am surrounded by ceramic pots and art of all kinds of things, and my little teddy bear is in the corner that I had when I was 6 years old. I am located in Victoria, Vancouver Island, British Columbia. And with that, I'd like to acknowledge with respect, with deep gratitude, the Lekwungen peoples. And this includes the Songhees, Esquimalt, and Wasanich nations. I'd like to thank the Indian Summer Festival and especially Sirish and Laura for inviting me again this year to participate. I've known them for a few years, and it's great to be here with everybody. So I'm going to read a few poems. The first one is called Storm Gathers. Within circles of evergreens, back and forth giants swayed, squeaked, creaked. Tongues of pine hissed. Softly hushed, softly loud. Silence. Hushed, loud, silence. Hisses became whispers, whispers became moans, moans became language, language became speech. Speech interrupted, wind chimes rattled, clouds burst. Loud, hushed, silence. Second poem, Texture. Stitched words, sewed sounds, swiped tunes, like orchestral maneuvers in the dark, stroked, structured strings. Closed eyes, Manhattan brothers came alive, popping tongues in Zulu. We wandered with feet unwashed from dirt collected on Brighton's beach, where toes pushed pedals to re-loop creation and beatbox tunes bounced against the skin of those who walked before us. Today the sun is bright. Tender eyes searched for Tulsi, not sure why she entered this hazy, textured dream. Eyes squeezed song lines to a time when Penguin Cafe Orchestra pulled us aside. No Tulsi in sight, only the sea. And this last poem is inspired by the Indian Summer Festival's theme this year. I'd like to leave you with this happy 10th anniversary, and I enjoyed being here with you all. This river is language. You said you were lost. She laid her divinity before you. How did you respond? Was it the mirror you expected? Did you see your noble reflection? Did you find yourself there within her? Did you take a moment, trace each wrinkle, contour, edge, pause on shapely dots and crosses? Did you stop to enunciate consonants, linger over vowels, grasp grammar, understand her letters? Did you clear obstructions, boulders, dams to set her free? There is a message behind the words, between the spaces, something sacred shared. She is your gift, and you are her mirror. Are you still lost? Thank you so much, and enjoy the Indian Summer Festival. Take care of yourselves, be safe, and happy 10th anniversary to the Indian Summer Festival team.
I am flowers of the Delta clan, flowers in the line of oculus. I am hoodoo. I am griot. I am a man of power. I am mythic. And I had to think long and hard about what I would say to the Indian Summerfest family, because I love being part of what you do. And I decided if I didn't have but one thing to say in these trying times in which we find ourselves, that I was going to say, hold on. When you feel like you can't go on, hold on. My masked legions, my sturdy champions of the social contract, determined to get as many souls through this as we can. You know what you gotta do to survive. You gotta hold on. And when you feel weary, feel like you can't go on, think about all the folk who don't have what you have. Hold on. Hold on. Do what you can to care for others. Hold on. And I feel like I'm part of the moment when I'm here speaking to you. Because when my people gather together like this in peace and love and harmony, then that place, that gathering place, this moment is holy ground. It is a healing song. I brought you a healing song. I want to bring you a healing song. I want to bring you a healing song. everything you do. Be a healed soul. Be safe. Be productive. Be a healing soul. Be a healing soul.
Oh, the flowers. Oh, always a benediction. I'm trying to pick up some of those lines just to digest. It's, you know, my sturdy companions of the social contract.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just trying to, you know, there's so much now, so much density. I'm trying to just pick out these lines. Someone so beautifully said, Renee, thank you. Your poetry is sweet as the honey of the bees. Trust Renee to bring the language of the bees into this. And I was also wanting to remember Leanne Simpson's words, which at some point very appropriately got blown away by the wind. She speaks of her heart and says, the hollow pumping organ in which I hold benevolence. Yeah.
Arts.
Yeah. And gosh, so many. Ajmer Rode, you know, he says, when everything stops at the traffic lights, it's midnight back in his village. And that image, when a yellow car passes, 1,000 mustard flowers bloom in his head. I mean, I'll never look at someone sitting in a bus stop.
Makes me think of every Sardarji I know that sits at a bus stop.
I know, and that's so rich what he just did. That explosion went on in my mind too.
Oh yeah. Well, I appreciated Dulai's poem referencing the Kamagata Maru, which the anniversary, as you may know, just passed of that history, of that unfortunate and violently racist history in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it talks about this ship personified as a mother.
Yeah.
You know,
it's and you know, you can see that it's landing there because just Laura Moore says, beautiful to hear the poets and their healing words. The array is wonderful. So, and Diane Rogers says, thank you for this evening of poetry, beautiful and uplifting.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Diane.
Yeah. Hey, Brandon Wint. We know Brandon Wint.
Hey.
Says, this brother, Arthur Flowers, is really doing something. I'm grateful for this love and sincerity.
Hi, B.
It's true. Yeah, and I think, I mean, I noticed you making some notes on Tishani as well, and Maruna.
Those first lonely astrologers.
Oh yeah, how lonely must the first astronomers have been? It's just, just that thought of you there alone with the stars. Well, I mean, there's so much. I think all this poetry gives us, and it's almost time for us to say goodnight because we've received all this and held all this. Gurleen K, in fact, just referenced that very poem that you mentioned, saying, Tishani, your poem Mandala got me emotional. Thanks for sharing. And I think there's a lot of and lovely to see too all the poets sticking on. There's this conversation on Twitter going on with Biff Naked, Shazia Ramji, Meruna Ghani, and Ivan Coyote, and he says, you know, where someone says, I didn't think it was possible to feel big feels online, but I had a glowing.
I always feel big feels online.
But yeah, I mean, it's incredible to hear someone like Ivan Coyote, who's done so much, say, I'm learning new ways to allow art and music to connect us, which I think is what we're trying here. So we've heard many poets, but we haven't heard one yet who's been co-hosting this evening with me, Anjalica. And I think it's time to share with people your latest, Fruticana on Fraser Street. For anyone who's in Vancouver, Fruticana on Fraser Street is a shop that feels like many places that the diaspora goes to shop. There's this strange mixture of the smell of gunny bag and dusty rice and linseed oil and turmeric that you walk in and that smell hits you. But Anjalica quite lovelily said that it's not a place where you go to buy things. It's a place that you go to wait for something. And it's so true. I mean, I think there are places, there are cultures in which marketplaces are not just places of commerce. They're the hubs of community. And on that note, I just want to say that Punjabi market is celebrating its 50th anniversary tomorrow. And they're trying to do something online and get that gathering going. So shout out to them. I also want to invite everyone who's listening to join us next week on Saturday, June the 6th. We'll be speaking to the incredible Indian economist Arjun Jaydev, who's writing a book on the tyranny of money, in conversation with Joseph Stiglitz, who won the Nobel Prize in Economics and has been talking about inequality and how do we emerge from this pandemic into a kinder economic future, which I think a lot of us are thinking about. So the festival is trying to hold all these things together.
What a discussion. I'll be there.
Yeah. So yeah, do tune in and keep joining us. Thanks to everybody here for joining us. And we will leave you tonight with one last gulab jamun, one sweetness for the end. So thanks again. Anjalica Solomon with Fruticana on Fraser Street.
The Fruticana on Fraser Street is a frozen food aisle airport terminal. I'm silently wheeling a shopping cart cage to receive the baggage that New Delhi's incoming flight will gift. She brings Christmas presents locked in boxes, things from over there, like jasmine tea, Nani's gold ring, and other nice things you can't buy here. The Fruticana on Fraser Street is a resting campus while the students are on holiday. I give her the tour like it's freshman orientation. Imagine this room on a good afternoon. All the students are raving to be someplace. You could stand on any rooftop and watch them pulse like boombox, but today it is crumpled homework tumbleweed, quietly existing. The Fruticana on Fraser Street is an unfamiliar halfway point of ESL classroom. The produce hallways are always full of cooking lessons. I've heard it over dinner. It goes, I came here with X dollars in my pocket. I've swallowed the bitterness of it with a spoonful of cooling raita. It goes, I stood in line for a can and I would do it again. Swallow it. See if it upsets your stomach. It goes, I asked a BBG for milk for you, and she gave it willingly. I'd like to thank her for that meal. The misting over greens are all the rainfalls between welcome to Canada and come again soon. This market is never as roaring bargain as over there. It's empty classroom, an empty courtyard, an empty nest, and this is where I come every day. Just imagine the people. Just imagine it louder. Just imagine it on a good day, and that's home. The Fruticana on Fraser Street is her rented room, stripped of its sheets. She just got here, but I'm always preparing for her to leave. It's a late check-in, the overdue hello. It's the early checkout, the expected goodbye. This grocery store is always in transition, but it's also always been here. When I drive her through the city, she breathes in all the unfamiliar stars. But when we turn right on 49, she says, oh, my Fraser Street. Oh, my Fraser Street. To me, it's full of color, but feels incomplete without the people. The BBG behind a perfect stack of apples knows liminality better than tumbler thread. She curls her lip at me, like the Fruticana on Fraser Street is our secret in-between, as if only we know that a new start can be liminal. While the fans in Fruticana are helicoptering, we hover, not landing. This is not over there. It's a grocery store checkout line. This is not over there. It's just a hum of some rich guzzle. All we hear as we wait to pay is the static crackled song in the speakers overhead.